fragrance to be true, it has to have that familiar rose fragrance that you get when you smell the true flower. You can have any combinations of other ingredients with it as long as you're not taking away from the character of the rose. Clarity is important for rose because that's what we expect. If you smell the true flower in nature, you know what it is. You can identify it. You know instantly, wow, this is a rose. And it's clear that that's what the rose is. So if it's fussy, and there was a period of time where rose was put in as an afterthought in fragrances, and you had a fussy floral fragrance with some rose, and it wasn't really true. And I think today's roses are not that. They're very clear. You know that it's a rose. It's not confused with other fragrances. It's not a bouquet of flowers. It's a rose. It depends on which color you'd like the rose to be. It can be modified to be a white rose, and then you'd have a more airy, light smelling rose. You can have a true red rose, which is what most people are familiar with. Although they all smell the same, you can shade them so that the notes that you play up in the rose fragrances identify with the color. Other dark fruity notes, blackberries, raspberries, things like that blended into with it. Musk, for example, is another one that can support the darker shades and make the fragrance a darker color, darker hue. The moisture and the dew is critical for the rose to smell true. Because the natural flower is moist and is alive and filled with water, that odor comes through when you smell the natural rose. And if you're missing that and the fragrance doesn't have that element, it can be, you know, heavy and kind of cloying and dry and not true. The modern rose of today, these roses that we have in this collection, are true. They're true to nature. When you smell them, you know this is a rose. Perfumers have been creating roses for, you know, over 100 years, but it's interesting to smell new roses. I love rose. Rose is probably the most beautiful natural fragrance that nature has ever developed.